guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back if you are new. My name is Hetty and I upload every single Sunday and I post all about eating disorder recovery, finding food freedom and healing your relationship with food. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm really happy to meet you. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking all about binge eating, and specifically for those people who feel like they are in a place with their bodies that they still need to lose weight. So if you are somebody who feels that maybe for your health you feel that you are physically overweight in some way, and that you also struggle with binge eating, and you sort of have these two goals of wanting to obviously end the binge eating disorder or the binge eating habit, but as well on the other end of the spectrum you also still are aware that you would like to lose weight and you'd like to obviously improve your health. Now, I'm talking about this because I think this is a topic that sometimes a lot of people either feel quite awkward talking about. I know some coaches don't always like to address the topic for weight loss, but I'd like to talk about it because I think it's, you know, let's discuss the elephant in the room, because a lot of the reason why we have problems with food, a lot of the time if we've developed eating disorders, particularly like binge eating, anorexia, bulimia, it's all tend to stem from the desire to wanting to lose weight. So of course we need to discuss this topic. And I think the reason why some people feel awkward talking about it, or even don't always want to address this, is because the two sort of contradict each other. Now, if you know me, and obviously some of my videos that I will post in the description box below, so you can check those out if any of this does resonate with you. But obviously my opinion on dieting has changed dramatically. I used to help people lose weight as a job, so I used to be a personal trainer, and over the years, through my own experience as well with my own clients and my own research that I've done a lot of, is the correlation between people wanting to lose weight and dieting, whether that be a typical type of diet, you know, Beachbody diet, Beyonce diet, whatever, or even just trying to restrict your food in some way, so i.e. calorie counting. That used to be the method that I personally used to use for myself and my clients. I would say that is still a form of restriction, that is still a form of dieting. Now, I know not everyone is going to agree with this, and that's totally fine, but there is a lot of research backed up to prove to us how dieting, so how restriction on our food can affect us, not only physically but mentally as well. So our whole physiology gets affected when we are not taking in enough calories and nutrients for our bodies to function. So let's just talk about this. So if you are somebody who struggles with binge eating at the moment, so when I talk about binge eating, I have a video all about binge eating specifically. So if you're not quite sure on maybe the difference between binge eating and also overeating, I will link the video down below so you can check that out. But when I'm talking about binge eating, I'm talking about excessive amounts of food in a very short period of time. If you feel quite out of control around food, maybe you think about food quite a lot, but at the same end of the spectrum you also really want to lose weight, because this binge eating is causing your weight to fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. I know how that feels because I've totally been there. My weight used to fluctuate crazy amounts. So the first thing that I would say is establish where you are and why you binge eat. So I also have another video labeling the different types of binge eaters, whether that be from a habit-based binge eater or it's formed from restriction. So there are some people that haven't necessarily restricted their food in any way, or don't seem to believe that they have. Maybe they've not gone on a diet, but they find themselves having this habit around food of binge eating. But then there's these other types of people that have dieted in the past and it's caused them to obviously binge and overeat. I would first ask yourself, which kind of binge eater am I? Have I, and be honest with yourself, have I restricted my food in some way? Have I restricted either mentally or physically, whether that be on a diet or even subtly trying to manipulate your food? That can all cause physical and mental effects on our bodies and cause us to want to overeat. And if you're not quite sure on the reasons why diets don't work and why diets do cause us to binge eat, watch my video from last week. Sorry, not last week, the week before. I will link that down below, and that is to do with how to stop binge eating and obsessing around food, because I go into detail about the causes of diets and how scientifically they cause us to not only overeat but also gain weight in the long run. So if you are wanting to gain weight in the long run, the method to do that is dieting. So that brings me to obviously the topic. If you are a binge eater and your weight isn't where you want it to be, and I'm talking if you are worried in terms of your health, there are a few books that I might recommend, and I'll leave them down in the comment section. However, if you are somebody that wants to lose weight because you are binge eating, the solution isn't in another diet. The solution isn't restricting your food, because essentially what that is going to do is actually amplify and magnify the problem that you are trying to get rid of. So what I mean by that is, by you worrying so much about the current situation, about your weight, so being overweight, if you're worried so much about that that you choose to then go on a diet or restrict your food, by causing that restriction on your food and dieting, that is going to affect your mental and physical state on your body and drive up the urges for you to binge even more than where they are at the moment. So what that's going to do is not only slow your metabolism down because of the restriction, and your body's going to be wondering where it's going to get its next meal in. It's going to be completely out of whack through the restriction that you're putting on it through starting another diet. So your metabolism is naturally going to slow down. That's a normal part of a process of losing weight. But if you're already a binge eater, those binge urges are already going to be very strong neural pathways within your brain. They're already going to be a strong habit. So trying to diet on top of that are going to cause these physiology responses within your body. So in the last video, I talked about a hormone called neuropeptide Y, and that is our brain sending out hormones to a chemical that basically causes us to want to overeat on carbohydrates and sugar. So that will be sent out through the restriction. So a combination of that is going to basically cause us to gain even more weight, even more rapidly. But the only thing that that is doing is kind of giving your mind, your ego mind, peace of mind, because in the sense that it almost convinces you that you are doing something about it, that you're trying to do something about it. So it sort of makes you feel a little bit more comfortable, but actually in the long run, it's not going to do what you think it's going to do. It's going to amplify this current problem, this current situation that you have already. So what can you do instead? Now, this is something that I do work a lot on with my own clients, and we dive deep into this. So I know obviously your body doesn't want to be unhealthy, and this is the main thing that I want you to get from this video, that wherever you are in terms of your weight right now, if you feel unhealthy, that is simply a result from the binge eating. Now, if you think about it like this, do you trust your body when it tells you that it needs water, or that it needs sleep, or that it needs to go to the toilet? Like, those things happen on a daily basis. We get a signal from our body that tells us we're really thirsty. We get a signal telling us that we're really tired and we need to go to sleep. We get a signal telling us that we're need to go to the toilet. We don't question that. We don't think, well, you know, I shouldn't be feeling this way, so I'm gonna push through. And when we do push through, sometimes if we're tired, we naturally know the next day that we're not gonna feel so good because we've lacked on sleep. This is the exact same thing when it comes to our hunger. Now, unfortunately, the diet industry has misled a lot of us to believe that we need somebody's external plan, somebody's plan that doesn't even know us and doesn't even know our body and how it works and what it requires. But we have been convinced by this industry that we need an external plan. Now, the truth of the matter is, we don't. Our bodies do a fantastic job on keeping us alive. It sends us signals all the time telling us what it needs and when. And the only issue is when we don't listen to it. And when we don't listen to it, this is where issues start to show up. So this is what I want to focus on with those people that are stressing and thinking, yes, but I really desperately need to lose weight. The quickest way for you to gain your health back is to stop dieting. Now, obviously, if you've never dieted before and you are struggling with binge eating, then that's slightly different. The solution to that is to simply break the habit. Now, for those people that do diet and think, yeah, but what if I've got a habit of binge eating? Yes, ending the binge eating habit for good is obviously key, but in order to do that, we need to ensure no restriction is being put on our food and on our diet at all, or our caloric needs, because this is simply a survival mechanism that your body is sending out. When we restrict our food, those binge urges, those desires to overeat and overconsume ramp right up. Okay, so if you are wanting to lose weight, we need to stop the restriction. So taking it back to the last point that I made, your body doesn't want to be unhealthy. I'm going to say that again. Your body does not want to be unhealthy. So where you are right now, if you feel very unhealthy, your body doesn't like that either. Okay, your body doesn't want to be really overweight and, you know, developing all kinds of diseases. Your body wants to get back down to a place called homeostasis, where that is where our bodies function at its best. That's where our body temperature thrives. That is where all of our cells in our bodies function and thrive. And in order to do that, we need to be taking in the necessary amount of calories and nutrients from our food. And in order to do that, we need to ensure that we are not restricting our food at all. So I know that obviously sounds backwards, and probably in your mind right now you're thinking, yeah, but if I don't diet, I'm going to eat shit 24/7. Now, this is a process, and this is a process that I take my own clients through, but when we let go of the dieting, it's basically like if you were holding a dog on a lead and the dog is pulling and pulling and pulling. If you let go of that lead, it's going to race off. Okay, now usually if you trained it well, that dog will come back, or it'll stop running, it'll come back. And that's the exact same thing that happens to our own hunger. When we stop dieting, of course you're going to be craving all of these sweet treats. You're going to be craving foods that you've not eaten for years, because you're like a kid in a candy shop. Like you want everything because you've not been allowed that. And obviously this is a process of allowing those foods back in, and how you allow those foods is completely up to you. I have a video on my own personal all-in journey of when I did that myself, so I will link that also down below. But that was basically a process of where I stopped dieting and I allowed all those foods back in. Now, if you don't feel comfortable in doing that, that's totally fine too, because you can do that in a process of allowing yourself these foods that you feel that you would overeat on, but allow them back in. And what we're doing there is teaching our body that this food is regular, this food isn't going to be taken away again. And the more you allow that food in, even though at the time it feels horrible. Like, I remember when I was bringing in peanut butter and I would eat almost jars of peanut butter on my own, and I was thinking in my mind, this is not healthy, this is not good. But the more I did that, the less bothered I am about peanut butter. Like now I don't even buy it, I'm not bothered. And in order to get to that place of food being neutral again, which is where I'm guessing that you guys want to be, you want to get to that place where food becomes balanced. You eat normal meals, normal sized meals every day. You don't, crave all of these sugary foods. In order to get to that place, we need to allow those foods back in. Now, obviously, it's a process of allowing and allowing that uncomfortableness feeling to be there, because it will be. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable allowing these foods back in that you've not allowed for so long. But it's about understanding that the more you restrict, the more you control, the more this is going to emphasize and keep this habit cemented of binge eating and restricting and obsessing around food. Okay, so I hope you understand that obviously in order to stop the binge eating, we need to stop the restriction. And in order to do that, you can go through different routes, such as myself. I went down the all-in journey, similar to Stephanie Buttermore, where I just allowed all foods back into my diet. Or if that feels too scary for you, some of my clients do it on a gradual process and just start including more, but they get rid of that diet mentality. 2 books that I would recommend to read on this, if this is something that you are struggling with. Obviously, working with me is an option that you could choose, and I'll leave all my details down in the description box below. So if you are interested in working with me one-to-one, you can have a look at those options as well. But the Fuck It diet is an option that's really, really an interesting read, and it sort of goes through the sort of process that you could go with. And also the Intuitive Eating book and handbook, I think it's the workbook. Both of those books are helping you educate yourself on how to eat and how to trust your body again. And that's what all this process is. No matter how long you've been dieting for, we've been taught to not trust our bodies, and this is a process of trusting, building trust again with ourselves and our bodies, our hunger, our appetite. And that trusting your body will tell you again that it needs health. It needs, after that process of overindulging in chocolate and sweets and things, eventually your body's going to tell you that it needs fresh fruit, it needs salads, it needs all of those good things. So it will get to that place. We just have to be patient, and we have to stop getting involved with our mind. But obviously that's the amazing work that you can achieve when working with a coach. You have that accountability and you have that structure almost to go through with this, so you're not going through it alone. So like I said, I will leave all of my details down in the description box below. So if you are wanting to work with a coach, definitely let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to leave this here for this video, guys, but I really hoped you enjoyed it. I hope you took some value from it. If you have any questions, any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. And of course, if you are also really, really struggling at the moment and you want some extra help, I have a free guide available on how to end and stop binge and emotional eating. So I'll link the link for that down in the description box below. You can download that for free, and also I have a free private Facebook group as well, so do check that out as well. But with that being said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.